Hello. Happy Monday, as always. I have a couple things that I wanted to talk about today. There's one sort of like topic, of course, that I wanted to go into, but I also wanted to address a couple things. So, number one, as many of you know, if you've seen the notification, we are interviewing Tony Davis tomorrow. He's a fitness professional, and I'll be doing that interview at 11:30 Mountain Standard Time. So that's going to be really exciting. I'm looking forward to it. And we just really want to talk about like ways that exercise can support our mental and emotional health, ways that we can add movement safely into our life without driving ourselves insane, hopefully. And I just want to sort of reiterate, we are a healthy at every size aligned group, which means that we do not talk about dieting, we do not talk about body size or shape, we do not talk about trying to change body size or shape, and we're not going to be pushing any of those things. So if those are triggers for you, please know that this is a safe space. If you have questions about healthy at every size, I welcome those questions. If you have questions about intuitive eating, I welcome those questions as well. We can talk about like growth mindset and being able to take care of yourself appropriately, and also doing it while aligned mentally and emotionally in a way that you can take good care of yourself. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that we are going to be doing a challenge, a 5-day challenge where I'm going to be going live every day, Monday through Friday, and I believe that starts on the 16th. So if I have some ideas about things that I want to do and things that I want to talk about, but if you have some ideas or some things that you really want to work through, go ahead and let me know and I'll incorporate those. I definitely know that I'm going to be incorporating boundary setting and interacting with friends and family, especially if you're a people pleaser. So that's something that's absolutely going to be included. And if there's anything else that feels important to you, please do comment, message me, whatever way you want to do it. If you want to be anonymous, I just want I want this to be useful and supportive. So I want to make sure I'm incorporating things that you can use. Now that said, let's get into the meat. The meat of today is I wanted to talk about how perfectionism starts. So oftentimes I'm talking about perfectionism, people who are type A, like high achievers, and obviously many of you have those experiences. And I get that question a lot, like, where does this even come from? Like, is this just who I am? Is it part of my personality? Like, how did this happen to me and how do I fix it? So we're, fixing it is sort of a longer discussion. We're working on that. We're talking about it. But where did it come from is actually a pretty interesting question to me. And I thought it might interest you. So when we're talking about perfectionism, a lot of the time what we're talking about is something that is developmentally appropriate for small children, and that is magical thinking. So think about superstitious stuff like don't step on a crack or break your mother's back, or anything like that. I can't think of other ones right now. So when it is very normal for small children to have magical thinking, and when children are in a home situation where they feel like their parents are not happy, when they feel like when their parents are happy, they're very attentive and they're attuned and they're taking care of them. But when their parents are not happy, maybe they're less attuned or less supportive or emotionally available. And then that's a spectrum, right? So we could be talking about just not very emotionally available or not able to meet my needs like they normally do. We can also be talking about neglect or abuse. Most of the time we're talking about somewhere in the middle of the spectrum where it's just like the parents are not showing up because the parents are not okay. So when parents are not emotionally okay, they can't show up in the same way, which is normal. When that happens, small children do not and cannot, it's not comfortable for them to believe that this is mom or dad's fault or problem. So they can't, that makes the whole world so unsafe and so untethered that like the catastrophe of that is too much for the child to process. So instead what happens is that the child processes it as, I must be doing something wrong to make this a reality. I must be not good enough, not smart enough, not happy enough, not supportive enough, fill in the blank, not something enough. And that's why my parents are not happy. And that's why I'm not getting my needs met. So this is a totally unconscious process. Some of us make it explicit, some of us make it conscious. We might have had some of these thoughts, but most of us have had a lot of these feelings. And when that happens, we start to explore like, well, when I get an A in school, right, my parents are really happy and they take me out for ice cream. When I am really kind to my sibling, or I take care of my sibling, my parents are really happy with me, and then everybody stops yelling, or, you know, what have you. Fill in the blank. So when I do X, I get Y as a result. So my parents interact with me in such a way that now I feel like I can get my needs met or closer to met. And so I need to do that all the time. The problem is that the next time you get an A, if your parents are not as emotionally present or okay, because it actually is not something that you have any control over, then parents aren't going to respond in the same way. And then you're going to feel like you failed, right? And then it's like, okay, well, I have to do it again, but better this time. I have to do it again, but better. I always have to be on, always have to be getting better and better and growing, and becoming closer and closer to perfect. Do you hear where I'm going here? So that's what we're looking at, is basically what's happening is we need our parents to show up in a very specific way. We feel like it's our responsibility to make that happen. And, you know, and sometimes it's not just the parent, sometimes it's the whole home or the whole family situation that's very chaotic. And that is equally painful, and it can be equally problematic. So we make it our job to be the nurturing one, to be the mediator, to step in when other people are arguing, to get the perfect grades, to have the perfect, you know, exercise regimen or whatever. And whatever the thing is, whenever the family continues to be chaotic, or if our parents are unhappy for whatever reason, again, we internalize that as, I must have messed up. I must not have done as well as I feel like I should have. So hopefully that answers some questions. And I want to make sure that I say also that, so Tony is going to be interviewed tomorrow. John Archuleta is going to be interviewed on Thursday evening at 5:30 Mountain Standard Time. So that's also really exciting. He is wonderful. They both have different specialties. I think they're both going to bring different perspectives and different paradigms. And so I'm excited to have those conversations. I hope you are all having a beautiful Monday, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.